Today's video is going to be about me building a vise stand. I have a pretty large vise that I purchased from a friend of mine. It probably weighs around 100 pounds or so. I have that, an old oxygen tank that I cut in half, and a 3x3 by 3/8 thick steel plate that was also being recycled from something else. Everything's scrap metal. I have a decent vise in my garage. It's a Wilton 7-inch jaw. It's on a stand. The plan is to utilize all this scrap metal plus a little bit more that I have to dig up out of the backyard for the top of this, but this is the plate. There's a bunch of random stuff welded to the other side of this before, so I think I'm going to flip it over that way, just in case it ever gets brought inside, this will sit flush on the ground and not rock all over the place. Here is the vise. It's pretty beefy. I don't really know anything about it. I just knew the price sounded good. I also have a broken anvil that I got from my grandpa's garage. I would like to make a small pedestal for this also on that plate. I also have an anvil that I already made a stand for in the garage, but this anvil is way too nice to be outside. So, like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned, and see what we can come up with. Figured I'd mention that I'll be working on this bed in between working on the vise stand. I need to do a bunch of small skim coats, just fixing some of the scrapes and dings that this thing has. I need to feather some edges and get this thing straightened out so I can get some primer on it this week. Fingers crossed. I'm going to try to weigh this vise at some point before it gets bolted on. It's probably, I don't know, it's got to be over 100 pounds. I feel like every time I work on this bed I find more problems. So you can see there, if it focus, there's just gouges, and there's more gouges, and so many dings and dents that if you don't address this now and you just fill it with primer, it's going to reject it later. So now is the time to take care of all of it. There was a dent here. I pounded out, I'd say, a good 85.3%, and all of this was just bashed in, and it turned out pretty good. This whole corner was bashed in. Like I said, keep finding little chunks of paint just completely missing that have to be sanded, feathered, filled, and then primed and block sanded again so that it doesn't reject it. Much better. The swell is gone from the back. Might try to get this out. It's a little tricky. I don't know if you can tell how bad that is, but I'll work on that a little bit. think that I might end up just leaving it upside down. It is really wobbly, as you can see. I think it's going to live outside 99.9% of the time. I don't know if it'll actually ever make it in here, so the flatness of it doesn't really matter because it's going to live on top of gravel. I think that I think I'm going to flip it over, get the uprights as level as possible, and just go from there. I don't think this is as important as all of the other stands that I've made over the years. There's more of them over there. I think this is a quick and easy one. Down and dirty, just a bunch of scrap metal. Well, actually it's no different than the other ones, except for those are level and square. But yeah, let's see what we can do. Yeah, that's, even if it was on this ground, for whatever reason, it's not shaky this way, so perfectly fine. Kind of thinking maybe off in a corner, and then if I mount the vise permanently this way, I can probably still get away with mounting the anvil in a corner. And eventually I want to make a removable mount so that I can bring my tubing bender outside and use it. I think that's the ticket there. Oh man, this thing is so light. Lightest thing I've ever picked up. All right. I wonder if I can get away with something super quick and easy. The only thing that wouldn't be easy about this is the rear bolt. But I think this might work. Give you an idea of what I'm thinking here. I think if I mount the bolt something like that, it gives me enough room to tighten it down inside. I'll make a little filler piece to take away the stress here. I think I can blow a hole in the bottom of this, weld a nut into this portion, and then just run a bolt down through the top. I think that might work. Gotta see if I can take this vise apart. Take this front portion off. I don't think this has a keeper, so hopefully it comes off, because picking this thing up and down is not the easiest. It is it's a little heavy. Well, that was a little harder than I thought it was going to be. But this guy is much more manageable without this thing attached to it. I've got a ton of these random huge bolts. I don't have any that are shorter with a smaller shank, so I got to figure something out to be able to use this hardware, because it fits exactly the holes that this vise came with. I think I might have figured something out. I'm just gonna mark this hole and pull this off again. It's not getting any lighter. I'm not sure why. I figured it would get lighter by now. Well, it's been 2 days now since I've been able to be in the garage. I had to drop my daily off to get in alignment yesterday, and by the time I got home from doing all that, it was way too late to come out into the garage. But this is the progress so far. Blew a hole in the bottom of the tank and made a little access window, which I'll clean up. That rusty old metal did not want to cut with a torch. So the plan was, I can't find the bolt. Bolt it down through the top, and I have this little window to where I can actually get in there with a wrench and tighten everything down. The other two nuts will be welded to the outside of the tank, so between those three it should be pretty secure. And like I said, I'll make a little filler piece to take the tension off of that thing. Much easier to move when it's like this, but I have to try and knock out some sanding today. The main thing that I'm going to do today is try and do some leaves. I have quite a few trees, not as nearly as many as I did when I moved in, but there's quite a few trees out here, and if I don't keep up with the leaves, it gets bad. Like, it takes many hours to do everything. So I think I'm going to do some leaves, then do some sanding, and then get back on the vise project. I know the vise is supposed to be the main, I don't know, point of the video, but a lot of stuff going on. And I figure, since I'm doing this vloggy style thing, it doesn't really matter. The whole video is showing you what I do every day, not specific tasks usually. So yeah, I'll go fire up the leaf blower. I always preach to all of my friends about non-ethanol gas and how important it is. I haven't started this since last leaf season. Let's see. And that's why I preach at non-ethanol fuel, because that other stuff is garbage. Well, now that I have no energy and it's pretty much dark, the GoPro, I feel like it makes it look a little brighter, but the sun is almost gone. Now I'll go sand stuff. My favorite thing. Alright. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but I absolutely love sanding. It's my most favorite thing to do. Especially after going to work and sitting in traffic on the way home and doing normal stuff. Just so calming to get some sandpaper on a block and just sand my heart out. It's great. I love it.
Christopher.
What?
The endless sanding.
Yeah. It is now a different day. I was sanding last night and my buddy showed up and took me to go get my daily, which is not 100%. I got the alignment done, but the alignment is kind of messed up because for whatever reason, when I put the aftermarket control arms on it, it lifted the front end like 3 inches, which makes no sense at all. So I gotta figure that out. But I gotta get back to this. And then knock out the vice stand, which should have been done 3 days ago. And this should have been done 3 days ago, but it's cold outside. Body filler does not like the cold. I got a heater in here, but it's been getting down to about 35-ish degrees every night. So I think the game plan as far as this goes is to try and paint it this Saturday during the day. That way it actually has a couple hours of warm weather to actually set up some, and then sit for a week, which sucks, but I've been trying. Just way too much stuff going on, like normal. Running around, doing this and that, working on this and that. So, back to it. This is what I was talking about. You can see how this bolt passes through there easily. A little access hole. I'll have to add a small spacer or washer in there. I'm going to grind down the area where those nuts will go, and I'll weld that together. And I think the general stand is finished after that point. So I'll get all this welded up and get it squared on the plate and weld that up too. So I'm not really sure how, but it's not level, like perfectly level, but it's hard to see on the GoPro. It is that way. It is that way. It leans forward just a little bit. It's kind of weird because the bottom of that is jacked up and not anywhere close to straight. That plate is not anywhere close to straight, but I'll take it. It's perfect. Great for outside use. No problem at all. I can't find any washers, normal washers that actually fit this, but I got a bunch of these really overly large lock washers laying around. So, see if I can do this without dropping all of them down inside of that tank and then trying to fish them back out. Perfect. Well, it took a lot of effort to get those bolts tight because I apparently don't have a socket that big here. My socket collection at home only goes to 1.25 inches, which these are much larger than that. So now that I got all that back together, I'm gonna put the front end on and see what it feels like on the plate, see if I can hang off of it and whatnot. And I think I'm about done with the vise stand for now. I think in future episodes I'll add the anvil to it, but I think that's about it for this one. So don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. Oh man, that's not gotten any lighter.